You're lucky I even married you, Nora sneered, his eyes glinting with malice. You're just a trophy wife, Fatima. A pretty face to show off to my business associates. Don't think for a moment that you're more than that. In the small village of Dakota, nestled in the heart of Nigeria, a beautiful young woman named Fatima was living a simple life. She spent her days helping her mother with the household chores, tending to the family's farm, and socializing with the other villagers. But Fatima's life was about to take a dramatic turn. Two men, both vying for her hand in marriage, had approached her family. The first was a kind and gentle farmer named Aliyu, who had a small plot of land and a loving heart. The second was a wealthy businessman named Nura, who had made his fortune in the city and was known for his lavish lifestyle. Fatima's parents were overjoyed by the proposals, but Fatima was torn. She liked Aliyu's kind nature, but she was also drawn to Nura's wealth and status. After much contemplation, she made her decision. I chose Nura, she said, her voice firm but uncertain. Aliyu was heartbroken, but he respected Fatima's choice. Nura, on the other hand, was overjoyed. He promised Fatima a life of luxury and comfort, and she was swept off her feet by his charm and charisma. But little did Fatima know, she had just made a grave mistake. Nora's wealth and status came with a price, and she was about to find out that her new husband was not what he seemed. Fatima's wedding to Nora was a grand affair, with guests coming from all over the region to celebrate the union of the wealthy businessman and the beautiful young woman. The ceremony was held at Nora's lavish mansion, with a reception that lasted long into the night. Fatima was dressed in a stunning traditional outfit, her hair styled perfectly and her makeup flawless. She looked like a princess, and Nora couldn't take his eyes off her. But as they exchanged their vows and rings, Fatima couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Nora's smile seemed forced, and his eyes seemed to gleam with a sinister intensity. Fatima pushed the thoughts aside, telling herself she was just being paranoid. But as the night wore on and the guests began to leave, Fatima realized that she was alone in her new husband's mansion, with no idea what the future held. Nora took Fatima on a luxurious honeymoon to an exotic island, where they spent their days lounging on the beach and their nights enjoying fine dining and champagne. But despite the opulence and extravagance, Fatima couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Nora was distant and cold, and he seemed more interested in his business dealings than in his new wife. Fatima tried to brush it off as nerves, but as the days went by, she began to realize that she was trapped in a loveless marriage. One night, as they sat on the beach watching the sunset, Fatima confronted Nora about his behavior. But instead of reassurance, she got a chilling response. You're lucky I even married you, Nora sneered, his eyes glinting with malice. You're just a trophy wife, Fatima. A pretty face to show off to my business associates. Don't think for a moment that you're more than that. Fatima was taken aback by Nora's harsh words. She had suspected that their marriage was more about status than love, but to hear it confirmed was devastating. What about love? She asked, her voice trembling. What about building a life together? Nora laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. Love is for the weak, he said. I have no use for it. And as for building a life together, you do as I say, Fatima. You be the perfect wife, the perfect hostess. And if you don't, well, let's just say I have ways of dealing with disobedience. Fatima felt a chill run down her spine. She was trapped in a nightmare, and she didn't know how to escape. As the days went by, Fatima became increasingly isolated. Nora kept her locked away in the mansion, only allowing her to leave for carefully controlled public appearances. She was cut off from her friends and family, with no one to turn to for help. Nora's behavior became more and more erratic, his mood swings terrifying. Fatima walked on eggshells, never knowing when he would lash out at her. And yet, despite the fear that gripped her heart, she refused to give up. She was determined to find a way out, to escape the prison that Nora had built around her. But as she searched for a way to freedom, Fatima realized that Nora's secrets went far beyond his cruel treatment of her. Fatima's days were filled with loneliness and despair, but she refused to give up. She began to explore the mansion, searching for any clue that might lead her to freedom. One day, while wandering through the dusty library, she stumbled upon a hidden room. Inside, she found a trove of secrets. Papers and documents revealed Nora's shady business dealings, his corruption and fraud. But most shocking of all was the discovery of a previous wife, one who had met a tragic end. Fatima's heart raced as she realized the truth. She was not the first woman to be trapped in this mansion, and she might not be the last. Nora's wealth and power had insulated him from justice, but Fatima was determined to bring him down. Fatima knew she had to act fast. She began to gather evidence, secretly copying documents and storing them away. She made contact with a trusted friend from her past, a journalist who agreed to help her expose Nora's crimes. As they worked on their plan, Fatima's fear turned to determination. She would not be a victim any longer. She would take down Nora and reclaim her life. But Nora was watching her, his eyes narrowing as he sensed her rebellion. And he would stop at nothing to keep his secrets buried. Fatima's plan was set in motion. She and her journalist friend, Omar, had gathered enough evidence to bring Nora down. They scheduled a meeting with the authorities, and Fatima prepared herself for the confrontation. As she faced Nora in the opulent living room, her heart raced with anticipation. Omar stood by her side, a symbol of support and strength. "You're finished, Nora," Fatima declared, her voice steady. "Your secrets are out, and justice will be served." Nora sneered, but his eyes betrayed a glimmer of fear. He knew he was cornered. "You never win," he spat. "I have too much power, too much influence. You're just a foolish little girl playing with fire." Fatima smiled, a fierce determination burning within her. "We'll see about that," she said, and with a nod, Omar handed the evidence to the waiting authorities. Nora's empire began to crumble. The authorities closed in, and his business associates deserted him. The mansion, once a symbol of his wealth and status, became a prison, its walls closing in on him. Fatima, finally free from his grasp, began to rebuild her life. She and Omar worked together, exposing Nora's crimes to the world. As the dust settled, Fatima realized that she had found a new purpose. She would use her experience to help others, to fight against injustice and oppression. And so, a new chapter began, one of hope and redemption. Fatima's story spread like wildfire, a cautionary tale of the dangers of wealth and power. But more importantly, it became a beacon of hope for those trapped in similar situations. True worth is not in material possessions or status, but in the courage to stand up for what is right. True power is not in controlling others, but in empowering oneself and others to be free. And so, Fatima's story became a reminder that true freedom and happiness come from within, and that the power to create change lies in our own hands. If you like our stories, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment where you are watching from.